Hey folks, welcome. Here we discuss real stories by real people. Today we have the story of a man who finds out his wife has been paying off a woman with his money to keep her infidelity a secret. Let's see how it goes. Story 1. I, 32 male, met my wife, 31, in a town where I had gone to render voluntary service. By the time my stay was over, we had already set intentions about our relationship. Long-distance relationship was difficult, especially because she was uneducated and could not text properly. Anyway, we weathered the storm. We got married in June and she joined me in the city. Adjusting to life in the city was a Herculean task for her, so when I received a job offer from her town, they loved my voluntary work. I accepted it and we moved there. I noticed she was always out and rarely at home. She was a housewife and didn't need to go out frequently. Anyway, I attributed it to the fact that she was back in a familiar environment and needed to catch up with friends. 6 months ago or thereabouts, she went to a nearby supermarket to buy groceries. She forgot her phone, so I drove down to give it to her because she had nomophobia and would freak out if she couldn't find it. After going around the small supermarket, I couldn't find her. I asked the cashier if he had seen her, and he said she never came there. I returned home to wait for her. When she returned, she was bruised all over. She told me she had lost her way and then had an accident. Her explanation was bizarre. It was impossible to get lost in the small town, but I didn't think much of it. A week after that incident, she became sneaky. She started withdrawing money from our joint account consistently. I confronted her about it and she denied it at first and later cooked up a lie. To be safe, I removed the money there and left a meager sum which she finished in no time. Then she started stealing my belongings. I refused to believe it until she stole my Apple wristwatch. I tracked the location and caught her with a woman. She told me she was paying off the woman who was blackmailing her. I asked her what the woman had over her. She confessed the woman had caught her in bed with her husband. I stared at her in shock, wondering how I never thought of it. The woman told me she had a video of them and would release it if I didn't pay her a huge sum of money. My wife, weeping, begged me to pay up and I gaped at her in disbelief. She cheated on me and now I had to pay to save her face? No way. I told her to face whatever she got. That same day, she checked herself into a mental institution. I don't know what she told them, but she was admitted. I knew she had an ulterior motive, but whatever her plan was backfired. Her record of previous mental illnesses was found and she refused to cooperate with the staff, so her stay was extended. When she returned and begged me to take her out of town, I told her to sign the divorce paper in return. Our marriage must have been a joke to her because she readily signed it. No objection or refusal. I gave her enough money and she left early the next morning. I'm still in her town, at a loss for what to do. I don't have a new job waiting for me anywhere. I can't seem to summon the willpower to figure out my life, so I'm stuck here, where everything reminds me of my cheating wife and the sham I once called a marriage. Update. 9 months since she left and out of nowhere she called me to ask for money. I turned her down. She begged and begged, but I refused. I thought it was over, but yesterday I got a call from a mental institute telling me my wife checked in. I wasted no time in telling them we're divorced and had no amiable relationship. So why would I care about her mental health or her whereabouts? I don't even know where she is, but I hope she goes back to not contacting me. I don't want anything to do with her. I'm sorry this happened to you, OP. It seems like the marriage meant very little to your ex-wife. She probably just saw you as an ATM who could provide for her financial needs and provide her shelter. I'm glad she's out of your life, though. She's a cheater, and you were still nice enough to help her get out of town. Most people wouldn't have done that. She doesn't deserve any other help from you. I hope she goes back to not contacting you, and if she does, block the numbers. Story 2. I, 34 male, am having a hard time remaining faithful to my wife, 35. I am doing IC, but it's not helping me. I did have sexual contact, but not sexual intercourse yet. Some backstory. Me and my wife met in college and have been together since. I'm Indian and stay in Europe. My father's Indian and stepmother is Caucasian. We were each other's first and now have been together for 15 years, married for 10. We have 2 children together. I'm a fitness coach and owner of a gym. She's a stay-at-home mom. About 3 months ago, my stepmom was showing symptoms of corona. We usually take Ayurvedic medicines available along with yoga to cure our health because we had had a bad experience with my dad with allopathy medicines, which resulted in his death in 2015. So we decided that I would take care of my mother and stay with her at her house, and my wife, along with kids, would remain at our home. My mother took 1 month to cure the COVID. During this time, me and my wife had only contacted through voice calls and video calls. A month ago, when I came home from the gym, my wife was crying on the couch and asked me to sit with her. She confessed to cheating on me with a guy who was introduced to her by her friend. She gave me details of all the events. Apparently, they had EA for about 3 weeks and became physical in the last week. She said that they had sex 6 or 7 times and used protection. She said that she regrets the choice she made, but at that time she justified her feelings by saying that she had no experience other than me, so she went with the flow. I had anger issues in the past, so I simply took a drive to my gym buddy's house and spent the night there. Next morning, I went to my stepmother's place and told her the situation. She always gives me the best advice. She's one of the most important people in my life because she took care of me when my biological mother left me and my dad. She told me that every marriage has ups and downs. Apparently, in their marriage, my father had a one-night stand when she was pregnant with my half-sibling. She said that it was a rough patch in their relationship, but they grew out stronger and had a solid marriage, 25 years. She advised me to give my marriage another chance, but should sign an agreement to distribute our assets in case of divorce. Then I went to my house and saw my wife on the couch. She had swollen eyes and was still crying. I felt she had genuine remorse, so I sat down and told her about the conditions. She agreed about the agreement and was very forthcoming in reconciliation. During the first week of reconciliation, she was very good at communication, understood my triggers, and gave me my space. During the second week, she went back to normal as if nothing had happened. Every time I got triggered, she would just brush it off by saying that it was past and we should forget about that. We also joined MC, but after a few sessions, I understood that the counselor was also a feminist narcissist. So we agreed to end MC in the 3rd week. During 2 and 3 weeks, I grew closer to one of my clients. She was in her early 20s. I would rant about my situation to her. I had never suffered from low self-esteem, but after the betrayal, it was one of the major problems. She would talk with me for hours. She would cheer me up and would compliment me. From last week, we started hanging out more, going on drinks, playing games, and having lunch. Yesterday evening, when we were having drinks at her house, she confessed to me that she has a thing for me. I've been in this situation many times before, but I always brush it off by saying that I'm happily married. But this time, I said that I feel the same way. We started making out and ended up giving oral to each other because we didn't have protection. Later that night, when I came home, I went directly to the bathroom and took a shower, had my dinner, and went to sleep. Yesterday night was one of the many sleepless nights I had after D-Day, but my thought process was different. Every other night, I think about how my wife ended up betraying me, and if I had some shortcomings. But yesterday, I was just thinking about the moment with the girl and how she was so different from my wife. I was comparing her with my wife, and now I'm reconsidering about reconciliation. I have a strong urge to be with this girl, but I also want to give my marriage a chance. I don't know what I'm looking for, but any advice is appreciated. You already cheated on your wife emotionally and physically, OP, so there's that. Your wife cheated on you first, so I understand why you did what you did. I would advise you to pick a side, though. Do you want to try and work things out with your wife? Do you want your family together? If you do, then you have to try another marriage counselor. You have to be open with your wife about feeling like she isn't putting in enough effort. The other side is you divorcing her and getting it over with. I have to warn you though, the feelings you have for this new woman are way too fast. And you don't know her enough to judge she wouldn't also do to you what your wife did to you. You can either stick to your marriage or divorce your wife. Take some time for yourself and take things very slow with the new lady. Whatever side you choose, I wish you good luck. Now for some comments. It's completely normal to have a crush with someone else you just had sex with like you do. That's how our brain is rigged. Now try to think clearly about what you want and what is best for you and the one you love, and also on what it will take to get over it and how both of you can be strong enough. I don't think either of you could have learned much about yourselves, your marriage, or the events of the infidelity from such a brief and unhelpful MC. Having a bad therapist doesn't mean MC is over. It means you need to immediately find a new MC and continue down the same path. For the same destination, i.e. for reconciliation to work. People have their reasons for revenge cheating, and they can make sense to us in our broken emotional mental state, but the thing with this girl is incompatible with saving your family and marriage. What's done is done, but now it has to be done. If you want reconciliation, then you must go no contact with her. Otherwise, next time someone will be sure to bring protection. If your wife is not actively trying to win you back, there's a problem. You are angry and upset about something she did, and it sounds like she's not helping you through this. It's possible she thinks she has you back and believes she doesn't need to do much work for you to stay. She should be putting in most of the work, not you. Talk to your wife and tell her you are reconsidering reconciliation. Start going to marriage counseling. Tell her the truth and that you're feeling ignored and hurt by her lack of effort. What you did is wrong. Two wrongs don't make a right. Don't contact AP anymore if you want to save this marriage. You should also tell your wife what happened with your client. I think telling her in marriage counseling would be best. I think if both of you are not putting 100% effort into reconciliation, the marriage won't work. Good luck and hope everything turns out for the best.